Hey, what's going on, guys? We're going to get a few minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, what's going on, Tazuli? How you doing? How can you hear me, by the way? Is this clear? Hey, what's going on, Lucas? Good to see you here. What's going on, Brian? A lot of good people in here, a lot of regulars. Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Perfect. Lima Charlie. Love it. Thank you, Leonardo. What's going on, Lord Wavy Bone? Good to see you here as well. We're going to give about another 30 seconds before we get started. Let a lot more people get in here. And then we will start going. So it's going to be a lot of good content today, guys. I'm going to go over a lot of things in the market that's happened over the past week, including some TA for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and a few other tokens / stocks, and then go from there. Brian says, bleed, baby, bleed. Yeah, the market's crazy, right? It's been very choppy the past few months and really downward chop. And we'll talk about that as well, what I'm expecting for Bitcoin, the potential lows that I'm expecting, what levels I'm looking to hold, or what levels I am looking to break to the upside if we do want to start a bullish uptrend here. What's going on, Elvis, Scamplay, Jovian? Good to see you here. A lot of people I recognize. Leonardo says, was there a stream earlier too? So there wasn't a stream today. I did have one yesterday that had trading without emotion. So if you guys didn't see that, it's in the Gem Hunters free group as well as in the paid group. But no, there was no stream earlier on. This is the first one for the free group today. Hey, what's going on, Sparakos? Good to see you here as well. Etheru, awesome, guys. Well, if you guys can like the stream, that would help a lot. Spread this to the masses and get a lot more people in here. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So the past 24 hours liquidations, 279 million, longs 167, shorts 111. So it's almost split. I will say that, because of the recent rise we had earlier today, that more shorts were getting liquidated. But as you can see, still longs have been getting wrecked, especially the past few weeks. Now, if we look at the heat map data, you can see here clearly as day on the 24-hour, we do have some liquidity near 86K and 85K. So it would not surprise me at all if we tag this liquidity, because if we look at the 1 week liquidity heat map for Bitcoin, now we're starting to see some liquidity build up near 91K. And this is actually a good sign. I will say this, because this strong liquidity buildup here, it's not on the 24-hour. So it means that now you have more people in these positions, and potentially, if we do tag those lower levels, 85 to 86K, that would be a good level to long before much higher. Okay, so that's what I would look at. We tagged the liquidity to the upside here at 88K. So we may potentially have one more flush and then go higher from there, or even continue higher. So we'll look at the indicators and show you guys what I'm looking for as far as invalidation levels. Now, let's go ahead and look at some news items over the past week. So we had the FOMC meeting. That was a big talking point, right? Now, the thing with the FOMC meeting, I'll just give you guys a TLDR on what the Fed said. They cut rates by 25 basis points as expected. Someone asked them if they would raise rates next year. And Powell said, I don't think a rate hike is anyone's base case. So no one is looking to raise rates. It's either A, stay neutral, or B, cut rates next year, which is extremely bullish. I'm so glad he said this, because we'd probably be at 74K right now if he didn't. Honestly, I think it would create a lot more bearish bias for the future. Now, in addition to that, right now what we're looking at is potentially no change in January. So if you look at Polymarket, I believe Polymarket right now shows no change. Let's go ahead and check it out. Yeah, no change, 76% chance. So depending on the economic data that's coming out this week, which I will talk about that as well, this could actually decline and we could see potentially a 50-50 split. But again, we'll go over that in a minute. Then also, they started treasury buybacks over the next 30 days of $40 billion worth. So think of it as QE light, quantitative easing light, not necessarily monetary policy correlated, but nonetheless, it does give us a door into potentially further easing and then monetary stimulus being introduced over the next few months. So great to see on there. Now, what else do we have? We also have Trump considering eliminating taxes on gambling winnings. So I'm sure a lot of people here have dabbled in Polymarket, have dabbled in Kalshi, have dabbled in sports betting platforms. If Trump eliminates taxes on those gambling winnings, guys, that could be huge for us. Because think about it. When you win a lot in gambling, you don't have to pay taxes on it. Where's that money going to go? Well, it's free anyway, right? Quote unquote. If you got profit, maybe you may throw that into crypto. So you can see how that could be some type of stimulus in a way where that money's flowing over. Again, a transfer of wealth, but maybe just a little. I'm not saying it's going to be, 50% jump, but maybe 5-10% extra. It's going to flow into crypto from those profits if people aren't getting taxed on it. So just something interesting to think about there. Then we also have Do Kwon. So the Terra Luna founder, Do Kwon, officially sentenced to 15 years in prison. Now, this has been a long time coming. Remember when we had the FTX collapse and then the Luna collapse and billions of dollars were lost in the market? Do Kwon played innocent. He said, no, I wasn't trying to do bad, yet he wasn't managing risk properly. And that's what happens when you don't manage risk, guys, is you end up losing people billions of dollars. And so that's the biggest thing, is just it shows you that more times than not, people will get caught eventually. And so good to see at least they're still brought to justice. Now, looking at a few questions here, a few things. Elvis, so what's going on? AB Plays, Waseek, good to see you guys here. Elvis says, how do you confirm that the current market is good to do more leverage positions? Is it strictly for bull markets only or bear markets also? We avoid entering positions during choppy uncertainty. Exactly, Elvis. So that's the biggest thing, guys, is anytime there's a lot of uncertainty, especially under these major meetings like the FOMC meeting, when you know there's going to be a lot of volatility, then just take a step back. Because if you look at the volatility around those days, people are getting chopped up on both sides. Longs are getting chopped and shorts are getting chopped. So there's no reason to enter because it's all about interpretation. So people could look at any speech and be positive or negative. They could find reasons for both. So that's why I say wait until the dust settles, at least wait for a few hours after the speech to digest everything. And then from there, decide where the market wants to go and then trade accordingly. But it's very risky. If you're going to trade during those meetings, then you need to place stink bids way, way lower in case the volatility just swings to the downside and then splits back to the upside. Like that's your best bet. Either place limit orders way high or way low. That would be my advice for that. All right, what else do we have? We have SEC Chair Paul Adkins saying U.S. financial markets are moving on-chain and that the SEC is prioritizing innovation and embracing new technologies to enable this on-chain future. Guys, very, very bullish there. Again, more adoption. You also have YouTube now allowing U.S. creators to receive payouts in crypto stablecoins. Why is this important? Well, first of all, it limits that friction between fiat and stablecoins. So if people are receiving payouts in stablecoins, well, now they don't have to worry about onboarding to crypto. They're already there in stablecoins, and so they can just trade right away. So we could see this have a trickling effect in the sense of more money is flowing into crypto now because people probably aren't going to cash their stablecoins out. They're just going to trade it on the market, right? So you're seeing these little bits of, I don't want to call it stimulus because it's not, but little bits of money flow that's coming back onto the market. And so something interesting to see there as well. AB Play says, what's your outlook for Ethereum? If it can hold 2930, I'll remain bullish. If not, bearish. And we'll talk about that as well. And yes, AB Plays, the Ukraine war ending will definitely affect the market because that's something that everyone's been waiting for the past couple of years. And that's, again, more catalysts. The market is hungry for catalysts. That's what crypto market is based off of, hype and catalysts, the stock market and the crypto market. So the more bullish news we can get, then the more they can spin that to pump the market. Hey, what's going on, Maximilian? Good to see you here. A lot of familiar faces in here, guys. Love to see you guys in here. And as always, if you love the stream, please like it. It's going to help spread to the masses, and then more people are going to join, and it's going to be good for everyone. Good for engagement. But also, we have Fed's Goolsby saying he's projecting more rate cuts than the median for 2026. So I'm expecting this as well. Even if we'd have no changes in January, I'm expecting at least a few more rate cuts before Powell gets out in May, and then Powell's replacement, whether it's Kevin Warsh or Kevin Hassett, they're going to cut interest rates. So It's going to be a perpetual cycle of rate cuts, Trump stimulus, quantitative easing. Guys, like things are building up. I'm telling you this right now. Yes, it sucks right now. We'll probably have a Santa rally most likely, but it sucks right now. Okay, I get it. It's all about capital preservation and surviving. Don't trade out of boredom. Remember, if you haven't watched my previous live stream yesterday of trading without emotion, I highly recommend everyone watch that. It's in the free group and in the paid group. I highly recommend it, guys. It will teach you to trade. Well, besides trading without emotion, it'll teach you to manage your emotions and teach you when you should trade and when you shouldn't, and what factors can affect the way you trade. Also, we have financial giant Interactive Brokers to allow brokerage accounts to be funded by crypto stablecoins. Very bullish. Again, lowering that friction between Web 2 and Web 3 space. It's going to be very bullish. Also, we have Vanguard. Now, they allow trading of the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF, but they also said Bitcoin is still a speculative digital toy. They called it a toy. I'm assuming that was one of the bearish people in Vanguard. Nonetheless, the fact that they are getting involved in crypto, even if they do call it a toy, maybe they're saving face, does lend credence to the fact that there's more adoption happening with these big institutions, and eventually we'll see that money flow more over the next few years. Now, also, you have the odds of the crypto market structure legislation being signed to fall to a low of 7% before the end of the year. So the Clarity Act's probably not going to get signed. But again, more catalyst for next year. And then Trump says interest rates should be 1% or lower next year. Guys, if interest rates get near 0% like they did during COVID, the market is going to pump like crazy. That's why I strongly believe by May, June of next year, we're going to see the start of another bull rally. Also, we have Saylor. Now, here's another thing, guys. Okay, here's another thing I want to mention. On December 14th, Michael Saylor hints at buying more Bitcoin. Now, look at this chart. What do you see on this chart? What do you see? Every time he buys Bitcoin, what happens? Drops, 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 right? Drops. Yes, he's buying it all the time, but more times than not, even up here, I know it's kind of hard to see with the chat in the way, but even up here, let me go ahead and hide the chat real quick. Even up here, drop. Right? I don't know if you can, I don't think you can see my mouse, but nonetheless, anytime there's an orange dot, usually there's a big drop. So all that to say is Michael Saylor did buy more Bitcoin on December 15th and we dropped. So just know that anytime Michael Saylor buys Bitcoin or hints at buying Bitcoin, look to take some profits or at least maybe get in a low leverage short position. And then Trump says he has a great relationship with President Xi Jinping. Why is this important? Because there's always a lot of FUD around the U.S. and China relationship, especially when they're having trade wars. And the fact that they have good relationships now is very, very bullish for the markets over time. You also had JP Morgan launching their first tokenized money market fund on Ethereum. Visa launching stablecoin advisory practice to help institutions build stablecoin strategies. Michael Saylor, he bought nearly $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and then we dropped. No surprise there. A lot of institutions use him as exit liquidity. And then we have Bank of America saying banks will move on-chain over the next several years. And like I was saying, for Jerome Powell's replacement, Kevin Warsh now becomes the new favorite on Polymarket to replace Jerome Powell as a Federal Reserve chair. So it was Kevin Hassett. Now it's Kevin Warsh. I guess Trump loves people named Kevin, funny enough. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Also, guys, Elon Musk becomes the first person in history to surpass a $600 billion net worth. This is on paper, publicly, okay? Yes, I know the oil tycoons are already at $1 trillion, but publicly, Elon is $600 billion net worth. Now, here's something else I want to see. Anyone in here has a Tesla? Does anyone here have a Tesla? Post a fire emoji in the chat if you have a Tesla. So I want to see a few things. Because, guys, I have a new Tesla, okay? Model Y. And it is the best car I've ever driven, period. Or the car drives me. I literally don't touch the wheel at all, period. From park till I get to my destination and it parks itself. So literally, if you guys haven't demo drove a Tesla, I highly recommend it. The stock's been doing amazing. Dimka has a Tesla. Awesome. So you know how good the full self-driving is. It's crazy. But for any of you guys who are thinking of buying a Tesla, my referral link will give you guys 3 free months of full self-driving, and then I'll get a $250 kickback. So depending, if anyone wants to buy a Tesla in the future, DM me on X, and I can give you my referral link. Oh, Joven has a Tesla as well. How do you like it, guys? You love the Tesla, the full self-driving? Do you have hardware 4 or hardware 3? Because the newer ones with hardware 4, it's crazy. I believe it's mid-2023 and later. But even hardware 3 is still very, very good. Model 3, 2022, nice. The acceleration and everything on those is crazy. But Now, this is why Tesla is doing so good and why I always tell people diversify in stocks as well. Okay. I know we want to trade crypto, but at the same time, stocks is going to help you increase your net worth as well as precious metals, gold, silver, etc. So Tesla is already nearing all-time highs again, and it's only going to go higher, guys. Only going to go higher because of Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package over the next 10 years of bringing the company from $1.5 trillion to $8 trillion market cap. So yeah, Dimka, I would recommend if you can get a newer model like 2024, 2025 with a hardware 4 technology, you will be blown away by the full self-driving technology of 14.2.1.25. It's crazy. It is crazy. What's going on? I mean, good to see you here. But having a Tesla nonetheless is so fun to drive though. It's awesome. Also, guys, we have NASDAQ preparing to file to extend stock trading hours to 23 hours on weekdays. Insane. So you're seeing this or not even confluence, but this merge between TradFi and crypto now. You know, that gap is narrowing quickly. And before you know it, we're going to be trading 24/7 on the stock market as well. And then you're going to have a lot of capital cross-flowing between stocks, crypto, even more so than they are now. So something interesting to see there. Trillions of dollars going to be flowing back and forth. And also, we have Treasury Secretary Bessent saying China has met all negotiated commitments so far, and he's calling to ban stock trading by Congress. If he bans stock trading, where do you think the money's going to go? One, it's going to go in prediction markets, Polymarket, Kalshi, etc. But also, I could see it going into crypto markets. So think about that, right? Think about that. That could be something that we could definitely look forward to. All right, what else do we have? We have also Secretary Bessent saying individuals may receive $1,000 to $2,000 tax refunds in Q1 2026. Wouldn't this be amazing if we got a little mini stimulus in Q1? This is why I'm thinking that we may potentially have an echo bubble here, okay? I think Q1 is going to be very bullish for us. And so survive this month, guys. I'm saying just survive this month. There will be greener pastures ahead. Watch my last live stream about trading without emotion. It's going to help you a lot as well. Also, we have Michael Saylor saying quantum computing won't break Bitcoin. It'll harden it. So again, you know the whole thread of quantum computing with crypto. Now they're working to make quantum resistant technology. And so it's going to be even better once everything gets solidified with that. But at the same time, quantum is still a very high risk. And so if you guys don't have a cold storage wallet and you're keeping some crypto off chain, I highly recommend it, especially if you have a significant amount. And also we have President Trump to interview Fed Governor Christopher Waller for Federal Reserve Chair. So really it's going to be up in the air for who the Federal Reserve Chair is and who is going to cut rates when Trump wants to cut rates, who's going to pump money into the market when he wants it. So again, there's a lot of stuff happening with that. Now, guys, also, if you aren't following me on X at the Crypto Data, I'll go ahead and link this because some people may not know who I am. There's my X account here. I post a lot of good content. Check my pinned message. Check my quotes that I post. I post a lot of motivational quotes as well. So it's really, really good, guys. If you just want a quick reminder or if you just want to check out what I'm looking at in the market, I'm going to post an update as well today, but definitely check out my X account if you haven't. AB Plays says, what do you mean by echo bubble? So echo bubble, E-C-H-O, like an echo in a room, echo. Basically what that means is think of it as like a small or almost like a bigger pump. So we had, think of pump and then we had a pullback and now that pump is going to permeate even more from, you could say, a tailwind of certain events or maybe, you know, the old capital getting flushed out and now you have that new capital coming in. So it's almost like a second wind, if you will. You know when they say you get a second wind, you get another burst of energy? It's almost like that in a sense. You flushed out all the old traders, new traders coming in, new catalysts are coming in, echo bubble hits hard, and actually usually pumps more than the previous bull market. So I could see that for Q1 with all the catalysts that we have. AI bubble, Rise Conquer asks, and Joven, I'll go over ETH as well later on. I'll definitely go over that. So yeah, so Rise Conquer, AI bubble, that is definitely happening right now. We are in an AI bubble. And when's that going to pop? Hard to say because obviously NVIDIA is more or less topped out, but we have Tesla now taking the reins, okay? AI, robotics, quantum. Those narratives, memorize those. AI, robotics, quantum, and biotech. That's another one that's been gaining some traction. And so keep an eye on those guys. That is very, very bullish if you can keep an eye on those narratives, okay? So watch those for stock market as well as the crypto market. All right. Now, what's the next thing here? Let's go ahead and check it out. So let's see. So now we also have the stock market. Okay, so let's check the stock market real quick. So the S&P is rejecting right now to 6,800. Now, you may be asking, why do I have this double top drawn here? This was just a prediction. I'm not saying we're going to do this, but I'm saying you can see, and I'll just delete this so you guys can see it here. You can see we formed a little double top here. Okay, if we continue downward with the RSI, it could be a bearish channel, right? And if you even draw, let me go ahead and draw a parallel channel here. Right? You can see that downward channel, okay? So that's something to watch out for. You see a little downward channel here. Until we can break this, it's going to be a little bearish for the stock market. So let's see if we can get out of this hole that we're in right now. Again, it's not crazy as far as the pullback, but it's just something to watch out for. Now, what else do we have? Let's see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, let me hide the chat real quick. There you go, guys. So I'm gonna make it a little easier for y'all. All right, so yeah, so you can see here, like I said, the downward channel on the RSI, and potentially we may drop to 6640. Now, I was just talking about Tesla, by the way, and it just broke all-time highs. I received a notification of that. But just because we have the double top as well, let me actually, yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna draw this parallel channel, and also I'm going to, right there, okay. Right, and then from there, let's see if we can break it or not. And actually, I need to draw it a little bit better here. Let me see. There you go. Okay, that's going to be a little bit more accurate there. But nonetheless, we need to get out of this channel here. And potentially, we could have a double bottom. So let's see. If we can break this resistance and close above it on the weekly, above 6,900, could be very bullish for us. All right, now let's see what's next. And I would look for around 6,400 to be the bottom if we do have a drop here. Gold is continuing to make all-time highs, guys. Gold is a hedge against inflation, a hedge against uncertainty. The fact that it's continuing higher tells me that people are still very scared, very uncertain of the market, because we have a lot of meetings coming up, a lot of economic data coming up, which I will tell you guys about in the near future. But you can see we have a lot of things coming down the pipeline, and so it's very, very obvious that gold is a good hedge on that. So gold, silver, all those precious metals, that's why I say diversify as much as possible. The RSI right now is crossing above its signal line on the weekly, so still a lot of room to the upside. Now, I will say the caveat, we technically do have a little bearish divergence here with the RSI, but it still needs to confirm with a weekly close below. So also, oil futures, $55. So if we break below this, technically, it's going to be still bullish for stocks and crypto, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. And also, you have the DXY continuing to decline, 98.15. If the weekly closes below 98.20, then we could see a fall further in the DXY, which is very, very bullish for stocks and crypto. So keep an eye on that. All right, now let's see what else we have here. All right. Looking at Bitcoin, 87.5K, 1.9%. Ethereum, 2950. Solana, 127.87. The top gainers, Monero, XMR up 7.7%. Caspa, 6.6%. Near, 5.5%. A lot of bullishness here, guys. Monad as well, up 11%. Toncoin, 155. 4, you have these memes still pumping. So there's still a lot of opportunity in the market, okay? So the biggest thing with that is there's always opportunities, but we're still in a very rotation-heavy market, so make sure you guys are taking profits along the way, at least until there's more clarity after this week, which I'll talk about those events in a minute. But Monero has been doing well. Privacy tokens, the privacy narrative is very well because people love their privacy, especially in this new era of heightened regulation, heightened transparency. Having privacy is paramount, and so people want that privacy, and they're willing to pay for it with Monero, Zcash, and other cryptocurrencies. Now, looking at the Fear and Greed Index, this also tells us a story here. It's been declining since December 9th when it was at 30. Right now, it's at 22. What does this mean? Well, it means people are still scared, still uncertain. We saw that reflection with gold, but also in general with crypto because of the uncertainty in the market. And so you're obviously going to have more people either not investing or more hesitant, but that's good for us, right? If we can get into extreme fear, that means the advantage will be for buying on the dips. Now, yes, we can still drop more, but it gives you an idea of how much more opportunity there still is to the upside once people turn bullish again. So something to keep an eye on as well. Now let's talk about the ETF flows. So Ethereum had negative 224 million of ETF flows, with BlackRock having 139 million of outflows, whereas Bitcoin had negative 357 of outflows, whereas BlackRock did not have any. So BlackRock is technically more bullish on Bitcoin than Ethereum right now. So let's see if we get more institutional flows this week. Maybe we'll have a turn depending on how those economic meetings go. But Solana is up 35 million in inflows. So Solana is still leading the way on that, which is great to see. So potentially still some underexposure for a lot of funds on Solana. Now, let's look at the charts. And also, let me go ahead and answer some questions real quick. Joven says, what is your regular stream time? So regular stream time is Sunday, Mondays. For the free group, Sunday, Mondays at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's the regular. Sometimes I'll, push it up an hour, push it back an hour, plus or minus, but usually it's Sunday and Mondays. Now, this next week, it's going to be a little different because there's the holidays. I'm going to see family, so it's going to be a little different there. But nonetheless, it's usually around 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. AB Play says, any hope for altcoins? There's still hope, yes. There's still hope in January, definitely. January, February, March, and Q1. This year, potentially we could have a Santa rally, yes, but we'll go over that. Let's see. Maximilian says, any stocks you plan to short like Nvidia or gold with 2x? Nothing I plan to short because the stock market's been so strong recently. I'm always hesitant to short strength. But if it shows any type of weakness, like the S&P may be showing that double top, then yes, it could be something. But just with the stock market the way it is, Tesla performing as strong as it is, it's very hesitant to short anything at the moment. Tizuli says, what effects will the DAC 8 regulations have on crypto? So I actually need to look at that more because I'm not familiar with the DAC 8 regulations, Tizuli. If you could give me a little TLDR on what those are, then I'll be able to properly answer that. But looking at Bitcoin here, you can see we are in a little bear flag. So if I take away this downward channel, you can see, all right, we had a flagpole here, then we had a flag here, and we broke down. So this is why I'm looking for potentially a rise up to 89 to 90K, rejection, and then continuing lower, okay? So that's something I'm watching there. And potentially people are asking me how low do I think we're gonna go? We could go down to 78K. Why do I say 78K? Because if you look at the past, April 25th, that's where we bounced. So 78K would make sense. Below that, next major levels, you're looking at 67 to 72, which coincides with the 200 weekly EMA. And then below that, 60K would probably be the lows, which was the top back here in April. And it's acted as support, resistance, support a lot. So big levels to watch out for if we continue down. Again, we just got to be realistic with ourselves, right? Because if you look in the grand scheme of things here, what does this look like to you? And let me go ahead and open up a different chart because there's lines everywhere. So let me go ahead and look at, let's see if we can go to, okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, what does this look like to you? What chart pattern? Because I'll tell you what it looks like to me. It looks like a big head and shoulders pattern. Are you guys seeing this as well? Doesn't that look like a big head and shoulders pattern? So what does that mean? Well, that means that if we do bottom out, we'll bottom out around 78K. And then from there, we could end up going higher, right? And before going lower. Okay? So if that happens, 78K bottom, rise up to June, whenever Hassett or Kevin Warsh, whoever gets in office replacing Jerome Powell, maybe that's going to be a little top, 106K, and then going lower, maybe up until all the way down here, 55K. And then mid 2027, bottom out, and then we start the run again. Okay. This is something I'm keeping in mind. Again, now not saying this is going to happen, but you can see the pattern forming. So something to watch out for there. I can hide this EMA as well so you can see. Makes it a lot easier. Anyway, let's see a few other comments. Let's see, AB plays. Can we look at Bitcoin USDT dominance? Yes, we'll look at that as well. So let me go ahead and change the charts. So first, let's just finish up with Bitcoin here on the daily. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. If we can close back into this channel, very bullish, okay? But we need to do it soon. We need to do it within the next few days if we are. Because there's a lot of liquidity to the upside here, but at the same time, once we reach those liquidity levels, we could curve back to the downside. What are our indicators saying? Well, RSI's crossed to the upside, looks fairly bullish. Stock RSI still curving to the downside. My other synergy indicator hasn't really formed a bottom yet. You saw how we formed this bottom here on this rocket. Perfect bounce. You even see on the 4 hour. I mean, perfect bounce, right? But still a little more room potentially. So waiting for this little green dot to form, but at the very least, potentially reaching this 89.6K, 90K level before rejecting and then further downside. So again, I'm just trying to be realistic, guys. Again, I hate being bearish, but you got to look at the data you're given. And that's why in Gym Hunter is what we focus on. We focus on not only giving you a fish, but teaching you how to fish, right? So that you're fed for life in the trading world, teaching you how to trade. And so that's what I'm looking for right now. If we can break above this and close above this on the daily, then I'll look for 93.6K as the next level of resistance, and then 96 to 97K, which coincides with the daily 50 EMA. So a lot of resistance to the upside, resistance to the downside. I want to see us hold 86.2K, very important level if we don't. 84.4K, next major level, and then below that, 80.6 where this wick is, expecting some type of bounce between here and 78K. And then, yeah, I will expect 78K to be the bottom. I will be longing here like crazy, guys, especially with that head and shoulders pattern. Better believe I'll be longing here. All right, let's go over Ethereum and then cover Solana, and then AB plays. I'll go over Bitcoin and USDT dominance. A lot of good questions, guys. Very active today. Very active today. Also, guys, one more reminder. If you haven't followed me on X at the Crypto Data, definitely do so. I give you guys a lot of good content, and I try to make sure you guys have all of the information you need. So I linked it in the chat. If you haven't followed me at the Crypto Data, again, a lot of good content, and there's more to come. So looking at Ethereum right now, same thing as Bitcoin. Little bearish flag going on. We crossed below it, but Ethereum is hanging on for dear life right now at 29.30. Hanging on for dear life. Is it going to break it? Let's find out. If we look at the indicators, RSI, still slightly curved to the downside on the daily. So still not convinced yet. And then the stock RSI is curving to the downside still. So Ethereum definitely needs to bounce here. There's a possibility though. But you can see this red alarm indicator. Boom, synergy, called the bottom there. Or I should say called the top. So, and then with the rocket symbol, called that bounce perfectly. So I'm waiting to get some type of more confluence here, but nonetheless, we get at least a green dot here, show some more momentum to the upside. And at that point, we can be a little more confident in our analysis. But you can see it was making higher lows and then it broke that. And so now the question becomes, is it going to hold this 29.30 level? If not, 28.30 or 28.20, mind you, it's going to be the next support. And the major support is going to be around 26.80 because that coincides with that long-term trend line that we have. If we zoom out on the weekly, you can see, so guys in the chat can see it. Bounce here, establish a trend line, bounce, bounce. Zoom in here, bounce, 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 and then bounced here. And also coincides with the 200 weekly EMA at that 2680 level. So you better believe I'm going to be longing this level like crazy as well if we get down to 2680. If we get down here 2680, Bitcoin's probably going to be at 78K at that point. We can probably guarantee that that's going to be there. So guys, I'm giving you guys a lot of alpha right now for free. So write these levels. Ethereum 2680, Bitcoin 78K. You're getting the behind the scenes here. Now, resistance-wise, 30.50. Next big resistance, followed by 32.70, and then 35 to 3600 major resistance. Again, the 32.70 coincides with the daily 50 EMA, and then the 3500 coincides with the 100 and 200 EMA on the daily. Last, let's go to Solana. Also, guys, if you're enjoying the stream right now, please give it a like. Much, much appreciated. It's going to help spread this to the masses. A lot of good viewership on here. So I would love some more likes on here. Really, really appreciate it. Now, how's Solana doing? Solana's at 128. It's bounced off of 125 perfectly. I love that. If we can get a little triple bottom here, that'd be perfect for a move higher. Where next I'll be looking at 137, followed by 145. So very, very, very good price action on Solana. You could even say we may have a little bit of a descending wedge here, okay? Potentially a little descending wedge. So there you go. That would be amazing if we can have this bounce here. So that's something I'm watching as well. What are the indicators saying? Well, indicators are saying we had this descending triangle form on the stock RSI that I drew. It broke to the downside. Now we're saying potentially getting close to oversold, which would be very bullish. The RSI is starting to curve to the upside. So we do have, in my opinion, at least a move to 130, which we already had, but that's resistance. If we get a close above that on the daily, I'll be looking at 137 and then 145. Support-wise, if 125 fails, if we close the daily below 125, I'll be looking for 117, followed by 103. But the indicators are starting to look a little bit better. We just need a little bit more downside here on the stock RSI, and then we can curve and use that momentum afterwards. Let's see what other questions people have. Maximilian Jacob says, by the way, we have some Bitcoin ATMs here in Germany. Do you have them in the US? We have a few of them. We have a few of them, Maximilian, but we don't have a lot. They've mostly gotten taken out because people are using them for money laundering and other things. Tazuli says the DAC 8 regulation is an EU directive expanding automatic exchange of information to crypto assets. The central exchanges have to give the user information to the IRS so they can check if everyone is paying their taxes correctly. Ah, okay. Got it. So yes, this will definitely have an effect on crypto, and it could mean more people getting out of crypto. Why is that? Because we're getting to a time where most people haven't been paying their taxes on crypto, if we're being real, right? Most people haven't. And so now that they're cracking down on it, people may get out and say, okay, that's my sign to cash out, because they don't want to pay taxes on it, or they don't want to get caught, whatever it may be. Now, blanket disclaimer, I recommend everyone pay their taxes regardless, okay? Because more times than not, you're going to have to pay taxes eventually. Whether it's not this year, next year, they're going to come for you. So just get out of the way and pay them. With that said, I think that there's probably going to be some more laws, maybe in the US, of either no capital gains tax on cryptocurrencies or no capital gains tax on US-based cryptocurrencies, okay, like Ripple, Algo, HBAR, etc. So it just depends. It goes country by country, depending what laws they want. But yeah, at the end of the day, I could see that being a deterrent for getting in crypto if they're going to be taxed on it. But like with anything, I think people will adapt, just like with the stock market, as you know, everyone is already taxed on there. And so that's what I would say is, yes, we could have more people getting out, but at the same time, it's just going to be like the norms at the end of the day. Let's see. Maximilian says, nah, bro, shoulder in June? No thanks. Yeah, the head and shoulders on Bitcoin. Yeah, it's going to be crazy if it drags out that high or that long. AB Play says, is new economic data coming out December 18th? Yeah, guys. So for economic data, thanks for mentioning that. So we had unemployment data come out today. We have CPI data coming out December 18th. We also have the European Central Bank, ECB, having their meeting on their rates December 18th. Then we have the Bank of Japan having their meeting December 18th and 19th with their rate hike decision on December 19th. Most people are expecting Japan to raise rates by 25 basis points. If that happens, it's mostly been priced in, but we may have a small little dip and then rise afterwards. Now, if Japan raised their rates by 50 basis points, we're going to have a little carry trade unwinding where it's going to be a big flush in the market because, long story short, people borrow loans from Japan at near zero interest rates. They invest them in treasuries. They earn profit on the margin there because treasuries pay out an interest rate and they earn, they split the difference there. But if Japan raises rates even more than expected, well, those profit margins decline or even become zero or negative. And then at that point, people are forced to sell their risk on assets, pay back the loan. And then that's the carry trade unwinding because they're unwinding their assets. And so that's what we're going to have to see if Japan raises rates more than expected, but we'll see. McWhidden, hope that explained it for how Japan rate cut or rate hikes will affect the market. And now let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin dominance from AB Plays. So BTC.D. Let's look on the weekly. That's where I've charted it at. Okay, here's the little chart I had. So it's playing out to a T. We bounced off of this level. We're rising up here. So potentially we could have a little rejection here. Let's see. Because now what's interesting, ooh, I don't like this. So now we're seeing the stock RSI start to cross to the upside here. This could be a little bearish for the markets, guys. This could be a little bearish because if we have the stock RSI crossing to the upside and the RSI is bouncing off the signal line, we could end up seeing much higher than this. So potentially we may see a rise to 60% where this weekly 50 EMA is at, because we bounced off the 50 weekly EMA as support and then we rejected off it in November as resistance. And so at the very least, I could see us coming up to 60% before rejecting further. So that's something I'm going to be watching very closely. But you can see here a green dot wants to form on my synergy indicator. If it does, it won't be good for anyone. But you can see how accurate it's been with calling these drops, right? Boom, boom. So it's very, very accurate with that. So if it gets a rocket symbol, then watch out. But I don't think it's going to get one. It needs to go a lot lower. But nonetheless, we could see a little bit further upside here to 60%. I could definitely see that. So keep an eye on that. The big resistance or support level to watch is 59%. If we can close the weekly below that, very, very bullish for altcoins and Bitcoin. And then that's when I'll look for at least around 58% to put, 58% would be a good little target afterwards. Now let's look at USDT dominance. So now this one I actually drew on another chart. Let me see if it was on this chart. I'm actually going to check that afterwards. Don't miss your space. Launch 25 Hilux for through the galaxy. That's actually pretty cool. So let me go ahead and... So this is the chart we had for USDT dominance, okay? We're coming up to 6.4%. Why is this important? Well, it was acting as support. Now it's acting as resistance. So potentially we could form a little bearish divergence here on the RSI. But yeah, we are getting at an inflection point on USDT dominance. So hopefully we get a little rejection, curve back to the downside, and then head all the way down to 5.6%. So we're going to have to see what happens. We could look on the daily to see what's happening. Still rejecting off of it. Love to see it. Still a nice little downtrend in the RSI. So it looks good on the daily. The weekly just needs to catch up, which like I said, we could have a little bearish divergence. RSI is nearly overbought again. So yeah, it looks good for a potential run. I should say lower on USDT, potential run higher on Bitcoin and alts. So something to watch as well. Oscar says, any coin buying in the bear market, hype or anything? In the bear market, yeah, hype is a good bet. Hype is a good bet in the bear market. And I know a lot of people are bearish on hype right now. Obviously, the chart looks horrible, but because it crossed below this level, right? But let's see, potentially we could bounce here. I would not be buying here though. If I was to buy hype, it would be near $20 and then near $17. Okay, around 16, 17. These are the levels I would buy on hype. Pay attention to these levels here, 16 to $20. If you can get it here, and especially where this wick was, I would say actually where this wick is at right here. $16 to $21, very bullish for hype. Because I think unless we close the weekly above this channel, I mean, it could be a good bounce, right? Not saying it could, but the RSI is still curving to the downside a little more. If we go to the daily chart on hype, then you can see, I don't know. It's going to depend a lot on where we close over the next few days. So it's really at an inflection point with resistance turn support. So keep an eye on the next few days of hype. It could be a good bounce area here. By the same time, we're close, right? Like if you even draw, I mean, this is a poor descending wedge, but you see what I mean, okay? Maybe it could have a bounce here, but it needs to bounce soon. If it doesn't, we're going a lot lower. At the very least, we're going down to 2470, which would be the next area I would be interested in buying hype. But yeah, bear market, hype's a good one. There's been people saying Aster, but I'm not touching Aster. Aster's way too bearish for me. Mr. Meeble says, do you see us going up or is it over? It's not over, but obviously it's not as bullish as it once was. So I do think we're still going to go higher in Q1. I don't think we're going to break all-time highs necessarily. But I do still think we may have a little echo bubble, like I was saying earlier, where we may have another second wind of coins going higher. But I still echo my previous sentiment of taking profits along the way because we are in a very rotation heavy market. It's just too risky to hold things for a long time nowadays. AB plays, do you believe in alt season? I believe in alt season when QE actually starts. Quantitative easing starts. Maybe we have a black swan event that triggers it, and then we just go higher from there. That's the alt season I believe in. I don't believe in alt season in the colloquial sense of everything is pumping, because there's so many coins. There's too many. There's such a dilution of capital now that everything's being spread so thin. Any narrative that comes up, it may last for a few days, but then it gets sold. And then it's the next narrative because people are constantly switching. They have ADHD. They can't focus on one thing for multiple weeks, right? And so the hodl, hold on for dear life, is no longer what it once was, like in 2017 or 2021. Now it's sell ASAP, right? And so it's unfortunately the way it is. But at the same time, I think once all these indicators reset like they are, they're going to see a nice little bounce. But until then, just more chop. AB Plays says, any signs of QE yet? Yes. So the Treasury, I'll show you guys real quick. If we go to, again, if you're not following me on X at the Crypto Data, definitely do so. I have a lot of good content for you guys. Post a lot of good things. If you look at when the Fed had their meeting, and actually, I don't think, maybe Watcher Guru said it here. Let's see if he did say it. Here we go. Yeah. Federal Reserve to buy $40 billion worth of Treasury bills over the next 30 days. So this isn't quantitative easing per se, but it's like quantitative easing light, right? So it's basically saying that, okay, you could technically pump some money into the market to rebalance a lot of their, current reserves, but at the same time, it's not like you're injecting money. It's not monetary stimulus per se. So at that point, we have to wait until actual QE starts, whenever that may be, in a few months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, right? But this is a good start, but it's not actual QE. So I will say that probably over the next few months, we'll see signs of QE. Absolutely. We're already seeing that with Treasury Secretary Bessent teasing that people could get $1,000 to $2,000 refund on their taxes. So something else to see. But with that said, guys, that is going to conclude the stream. So it's been an hour. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. Again, I know there's a lot of information, but the biggest thing here is I wanted to get across to you guys. So we do have a lot of meetings coming up. We have the CPI data coming out December 18th. We had unemployment data come out today. We have the ECB, European Central Bank. Their rates decision is coming out December 18th. We have the Bank of Japan's rate decision coming out the 19th. And they're expecting a rate hike of 25 basis points. So if we get higher, very bearish. If we get 25 basis points, fine, as expected, maybe a little drop before higher. But at the end of the day, you need to pay attention to what big macro events are coming out, and so that you can get a good picture of when to start investing and when to stay out of the market and stay patient, just like we talked about in our last live stream of trading without emotion. So please watch that if you haven't, guys. It's very useful information. But we just want to give you guys the best content possible here at Gym Hunters. If you guys aren't in the Gym Hunters Telegram group, link is in the description for free. Or if you want to join the Discord, it's 1 Ethereum for a yearly subscription. So look at that as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you. AB Places, would you believe in actual QE before Q2? Yes, I do think that's a possibility. It's a possibility, yeah. I would say maybe the end of Q1, we could see QE. But thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of you. Love you guys.